Hello and welcome back to the Monsters of Monster Hunter Double Cross, where today we're taking on Akantor, which is something I have never done with a sword and shield before. There's actually select few weapons I actually have used against Akantor, and sword and shield has never been one of them. And it'll be past all this hyper stuff. And there it is. Akantor is an interesting monster. It's technically a flying wyvern, though it really does not at all feel like one, considering it never flies. And unlike Ukanlos, I don't believe it even jumps. So yeah. Honestly, I really think they missed the ball not changing its type to Fanged Wyvern once they made that a category, but this is the, let's see, it's the fourth game that Akantor has been in with Zinogre, or is it the fifth? Either way, it's been in a lot of games with Zinogre in it, or in them, and yet they've never changed it in all this time, which says to me that they don't want to change it. Apparently, per lore, Akantor was once classified as an elder dragon, but then it was later learned that they don't have some physiological characteristics that would be required. I think it was specifically like their blood is different. I don't know. And I mean, you can at least see how Akantor could once have been a flying wyvern. Like, at least an ancestor, because it's got a little bit of webbing inside the elbow here. Like, just a little bit. But hey, that little bit is something. This guy sure likes belly flopping. Ow. Now I'm finally using Dragon Aura with a dragon weapon, thus proving... Wait, seriously? That was... I wasn't inside the Roar's hitbox there? Yeah, proving that the Dragon Blight granted by Dragon Aura does not get rid of Dragon element, though it does get rid of others. That was just me dodging too early. And let's go ahead and use some affinity oil. Stuff is nice. Seems that's just a regular knockdown. Probably one from having done enough jump attacks that were not mouth hits. Yeah, bring that tail over here. So, some interesting things about Akantor. It was the final boss of Monster Hunter Portable 2nd. That was when it was introduced. And it was back in Freedom Unite, of course, but it was absent in all third-gen games except for Portable 3rd. And I don't recall if it was still the case in Portable Third. I think it was. But its tail used to be a percentage cut. Like, you could only cut an Akantor's tail if it was below, I think it was 30% health. But, yeah, I think it was Monster Hunter 4 that changed it to just be you can cut it whenever you did enough cut damage. And honestly, I prefer it that way. As nice as it is to have something to let you know for certain when a monster is nearing death, having that something be a break that would be helpful to get earlier, because shortening the range of its tail sweeps is handy. Yeah, I would rather be able to get the break sooner. And it looks like he is crushing the life out of my poor healer cat. Akantor's pin does a lot of damage, and the fact that it mostly does it when it's enraged means that it also often comes with that large defense down, which is pretty terrible. I mean, it's a huge cut to your defense, so of course it's not going to be pleasant. But also just the fact that the pin itself does massive damage is a little scary, and I often forget to bring dung bombs when I don't have an item set made specifically for Akantor. And even when I do, like this item set is, apparently it doesn't have dung bombs in it. Oops. I need to go reevaluate that. I may be mistaken, but I think the defense down was added to Akantor in Portable Third. And the pin, I think, was added in 4. Akantor's gotten a lot of changes. Like, it would... Oh, like this one. That move's always a little scary, but I'm glad I dodged with proper timing. So you may have noticed they gave us some sonic bombs, and I brought some of my own. There's a reason for that. You wouldn't think it, what with all the yelling it does, but Akantor actually is sensitive to loud noises under very specific circumstances. Which is specifically when it's about to make a very loud noise of its own. Ow. Uh-oh. Oh, thank goodness. When it's pulling in air to do that move is when it's vulnerable to sonics. And when you use a sonic on it during that time, it actually knocks the Akantor over, causes it to drop a sparkly, and it stays down for a surprisingly long time, which is kind of silly and also kind of pathetic. And one of the easiest ways to make sure that you actually can use the sonic is when the Akantor does its whole burrow into one of the corners of the area thing. If when it pops out of the ground, it's facing towards the middle of the area, you know it's going to be doing its wind tunnel. So, yeah, if you see that happen, just put your weapon away and get your sonics ready, because you'll have a great opportunity that's really predictable. But unfortunately, this Akantor doesn't seem to want to do that at this moment. Akantor is one of those monsters with a color change signifying their rage mode. We saw it a little earlier, and we'll definitely see it again. But his belly turns orange instead of brown when he's enraged. And incidentally, Akantor's title is the Supreme Wyvern, and they are known canonically to eat Gravios, among other things. But they actually did an ecology video back in the portable games featuring it killing a Gravios. And that right there is us getting to use a Sonic Bomb. As you can see, it did stay down for a good while. And now it's mad, which means we've got the glowy orange belly. Unfortunately, Sonics don't work on it when it's angry. So, don't try. Also, when it's mad, its back spikes stand up taller. Kind of like a cat does with its hair. Just trying to make itself seem bigger. And then it taunts sometimes, I guess. That's not a good time for Cool Drink to run out. Also, don't run towards the camera when trying to avoid things that randomly pop up at your feet. Because if one pops up in front of you and you're running towards the camera, you won't be able to see it. You'll run right into it like I just did. This is one of a couple monsters for whom that lesson applies. Ow. Incidentally, Akantor is also one of those monsters that's big and does a lot of damage, but isn't exactly difficult to avoid. Why am I using my own healing? If this was an earlier generation game, we'd be able to take that tail cut to mean that this guy was low on health, but such a game this is not. So the tail cut just means that I cut the tail. Nothing more, nothing less. Great. Hey, good job, cat. Another thing about Akantor, he becomes weaker to certain elements, I believe. Or maybe it's just all damage. Either way, he becomes weaker once you break his chest, so make that a priority if you can. Besides, if you're actually under him attacking his chest, very few of his attacks, though that one he just did is one of them, can actually hit you. His chest is a fairly safe place to be. You do have to do a little bit of moving when he does that tail sweep. Otherwise, you'll end up getting swept into because he does reposition himself a little. But yeah, for the most part, you're pretty safe down here. Ow. And now we've got defense down, which is bad, and then we just got killed by the tail settling into place. Good job, Tail. I mean, ordinarily I've got 874 defense, but now that I've carded, I can't tell you how much of the defense down has changed that. Though I can say that it's actually not normally I have 874 because that was including the food buff. Yeah, I think it's like a 40 or 50% reduction in your defense, which is certainly not desirable. I personally prefer having more defense rather than less, but that could just be me. Yes, you're very loud. This was a bad idea. I'm gonna go ahead and just not be right there. Not that you're gonna find it out here, but his wind tunnel attack, if you get hit by that, it does Dragon Blight, which is kind of weird. But it's a thing. It's worthy of note that it does dragon damage, so if you're weak to dragon damage, it can potentially bring that attack into instant kill territory. There. Done getting my tail carbs. And that goes for the standing wind tunnel and the horizontal sweep. If you're not already in the habit of it, if you're fighting Akantor and he burrows, just put your weapon away. There's no reason to keep your weapon out after he burrows. It's like best case scenario, he goes a short distance like he just did, but pretty sure only heavy bowguns have such a long time it takes them to sheath, or to unsheath. Or actually to sheath, both really. That it could actually change much for them. And you're much better off being more mobile in case he does move somewhere, which he more than likely will do. Gonna get some Heartbreaker going on. Really go for that chest. Dodge too early. Okay. Ow. Unfortunately, that is one of the attacks that can get you when you're under his belly, him deciding to charge someone else. So basically, if you're under the belly, don't have your friends stand far away. It'll be bad for your health. Tough to get to the belly from here, so might as well just go for that tusk break. Because we still do have several breaks to get on this guy, not just the belly. It's just the belly is the one that's the most valuable in terms of making the quest easier. Because it makes things go faster. And less time spent on the quest means less healing spent, usually. And less healing spent usually means better chance at success. And hey, the chest is broken now. So now we can focus our efforts elsewhere. I was going to say everywhere, which I guess is kind of true. Dang it. Got greedy. Need to get another ride. Which means I really ought to be going for like those back legs. Or the face. Oh, hey, there's the other ride. 'Cause, yeah, it usually takes about 2 rides to break the spikes. And I mean, hey, I like breaking things. Plus, it usually plops you down right in front of the face. And yep, there was the back break. And since it plops you down right in front of the face, it means you could just go to town on the face. He did not go far. And he left rage. I'm pretty sure I ran out of my oil. Yeah, I had run out of my oil. Ooh, he's moving all sluggish. Means he could potentially be tired. Another interesting lore fact about Akantor is that, per lore, they've actually also been seen in snowy areas, which we've never actually seen in-game. But because they've been seen in snowy areas, the guild is supposed to be super concerned that Akantor and Dukanlos might one day meet up and decide, hey, let's go mess up the humans together. Because they would be able to cause untold destruction if they did do that. And there goes Tusk number 2. So now if we just break one of the 2 arms, we will have full break rewards. Though, of course, we're going to want to break both arms, just because. I will say, I definitely appreciate how much more dynamic Akantor's moveset is in post-Gen 2 times. Why am I looking at quests? I want to look at status. Yeah, 414 defense when I've got this defense down. That's not a good number. So yeah, it does cut your defense in half, rounding down. Because literally all calculations in this game, if rounding is required, will round down. Regardless of how close the number actually is to being the next number up. In Monster Hunter, we round down. It's just what we do. And we've got both claw breaks. Apparently, I shouldn't have been going for the one that I was going for during the last knockdown. Yeah. Now that we've broken everything, I guess I should just be focusing on the face and the chest. Because those take good damage. Let's make sure we can do good damage. It's very dangerous to try and adept dodge through an Akantor while it's charging. For exactly the reason we just saw. It's long enough that you'll probably still take a hit. Oh, where are we going? Somewhere far, I hope. And nope. Right, don't run towards camera. I really want to get another chance to get this guy with a sonic bomb, because it just feels good to knock him down like that and to get sparklies and to make him sad. It really feels like that attack should have a tremor. Maybe it does, but if it does, I feel like I should have gotten an adept dodge just there. I also feel like I should have gotten one just there, but I guess I dodged too early. I find it interesting that when you break the chest, what you see under the broken spot is just more shell. Apparently this dude's got some multi-layered shell action going on. I guess that might not be shell. Could be muscle, though. It's not really differently colored from the shell. Maybe it's skin under the shell? I don't know. Either way, unlike with Gravios, you can never give Akantor belly rubs when you mount it. Akantor is rather cat-like, but it must be like those cats that don't like belly rubs rather than the ones that do or that like only a specific amount of belly rubs. Ooh. Okay, so we are not going to be close enough to use a Sonic here, which means we gotta be ready to dodge! Because taking that attack hurts really bad. That's another reason you put your weapon away when you see this guy burrow underground. Because if he's doing that, and your weapon's out, there's no way you're going to get to him in time. Because the best ways to dodge it are to either get next to him or just be prepared to dive. Though I personally prefer getting next to him, because not needing to dive is better. And yeah, that was probably a tremor I just dodged. I don't know. Dang it, couldn't dodge again in time. I think what I dodged there was just the face. And if I'd gotten hit by that, I would have been pinned, if not just straight up killed. Though the pin would certainly have killed me, because I would have had very, very low health. I don't know why I've got my Sonics at the ready. He's far too angry for them to work. Oh, someone did not like that. And I should use another one of these. Though perhaps, yeah, that was not the greatest time to use it. Or at least not the greatest place. One of the two. Or, more accurately, the combination of the two. Because if I was doing it at the same time in a different place, it would have worked. And if I was doing it at a different time in the same place, it would have worked. But not at that particular time and place combination. I really feel like I should have gotten an add-up dodge there, but I guess I'll take just having gotten a dodge. Having not been hit is an acceptable result there. Right, sharpening your weapon, even with a sword and shield, does sheath it. Tried pressing X and A together, which, when your weapon is sheathed, does nothing. Having massive fire res when he does that burrow definitely helps cut the incidental damage. Try a wind tunnel, I dare ya. Or you can keep Tigrexing around. That's also an option, I guess. I'm pretty sure Akantors were not able to Tigrex until Monster Hunter 4. But I could be wrong on that. I didn't fight too many of them in 3U, or Portable Third, rather. And I've only fought, like, 2 in Freedom Unite so far. And both of those were using a hammer and sticking pretty close to his face, so I didn't get to see him do much walking around at all. Because back in those days, if you were using a hammer on Akantor, you were actually very, very safe right in front of his face, which was kind of disappointing. Seems he's going the distance this time. But we ought to get there in time to Sonic him once more. And there we go. Not the best position to use this in, but it works. Damage is damage. And I got to use both the supply Sonics, which always feels nice. Of course, it would be nicer still if I got to use some of my own, but I don't expect we'll be able to, considering how infrequently he seems to want to do the long-distance wind tunnel. Especially not if he stays enraged like this. Yeah, if ever the Akantor is not facing the same direction he moved to get where he's popping out of the ground, then you know he's going to do the wind tunnel, unless he enraged while burrowing, in which case him getting mad and doing his regular yell will take precedence. I actually had some fun with Akantor back in Monster Hunter 4. I was using an insect glaive and decided, hey, can I actually kill this guy using nothing but my bug? And turns out the answer was yes. Yes, I could. Had a bug with full power. And, yeah, just sent it at his face over and over and over again. And since it was an impact bug, I even got a few KOs out of it. Oh boy. This is not great for me, but we're okay. And what we saw just there was actually something unique to Akantor, because while Tigrex can slide and turn, Akantor can slide and keep going the same direction it was originally traveling. Ow. I don't need to roll off Fire Blight when I take enough damage to activate Dragon, or I don't know why I rolled. Other than sheer force of habit. Yeah, let's get rid of that defense down, because no one likes defense down. Ow. At least no one who likes having more than half their defense. Dang it, Cool Drink. I was relying on you. You going the distance? You sure are. And you're not enraged right now, so we get another knockdown, which means I get to spend longer without using my Cool Drink. So I think 3 Sparklies is the limit. But hey, we just got our 3rd. But I need health and also Cool Drink. And the Akantor's given me a chance. So let's go ahead and grab this, or not. I am going to grab it, though. Oh boy, tears. Oh, thanks for putting your chest there. Ow. I'm glad I didn't earn a mount with that mount hit, because it would have certainly been wasted. Let's avoid this attack. Easiest way to avoid it is just get right up in there. Of course, then you gotta look out for that. So I guess getting right up in there isn't a perfect solution. Ooh. You're gonna have to dodge. There we go. Thank goodness for Adept style. Though with how quickly you can sheath a sword and shield, I probably could have managed to escape had I not been Adept style. Adept style just makes it safer. Wait, where's he going? He's going the distance. Is he enraged? Yes. Yes, he is. So we're just gonna get where we're safe and attack him from safety. And hey, with the knockdown, it means that we're getting about the same amount of hits in as we would have with the Sonic. Ow. Okay, we are in a little bit of a pickle, but it's nothing unfixable. Okay, that makes things a little scarier. Okay, I didn't need to dive. And honestly, I should probably be eating this before drinking potions, because no matter how high my health is, if I'm at half defense, this guy is very likely to one-shot me anyway. So yeah, it's best to just not let him do that. Another good way to avoid that is to just be close to begin with. If only his paw didn't flinch me, I would have been able to get a dodge from his face. Shouldn't be too much longer before he kicks the bucket. And there's proof right there that Sonics do not work on a raging Akantor. We're getting a bunch of knockdowns. And that's nice. Because knockdowns lead to damage. And damage leads to dead Akantors. And we're out of any oils that would help us at all. And he's going the distance. And he's still raging, which means we get to just attack him as usual. If only he had slightly longer reach with that. You want to get out of the lava, buddy? That's right. Let's actually see if we can drive him over here where there's a lot more room to maneuver. Still enraged. By the way, that is yet another attack from which you are very safe while hiding under the belly. And now he's out of rage, so if he tries it again, we can use Sonics. Also, apparently his paws land before the rest of him. All right, buddy. I'm sorry to make you have such a bad time, but I kind of do need you to die. Back on Freedom Unite, if you got him low on health, he'd actually start limping when doing certain things. I don't know if he still does that in more modern games. At least I don't recall if he does. He might. But if he does, I might have seen it. Or if I have, it doesn't happen often. And if I haven't, then I haven't. Hooray for waffling. Yeah, I know we used Heartbreaker oil for some of the breaks, but still, yeah, he's been fully broken for a while, so I was expecting him to die at any moment. So one thing to notice about Akantor is he's actually fairly shiny. And also, a lot of his textures are kind of stretchy, but they certainly make up for it with the lighting. Like, they hide it well enough. And, I mean, like, on a creature this size, some texture stretching is pretty standard. Like, on top of his face here, that actually looks pretty darn nice. But the arms, we've got some stretching. There's that little bit of webbing between the... or inside the elbow, and yeah. Akantor's a neat monster. I rather like it. Though I personally prefer its cold cousin in terms of both aesthetics and combat. Oh, sweet. We got a conquest sphere or whatever it's called. And that is going to be it for this episode. Join us next time when we take on Ukonlos. See you then, friends.